Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally with some wood projects today. Now, this is a twig basket or half basket I had gotten at the dump and picked all of the dead stuff out of it and decided that I would use this today as my first wood project. Twigs, wood, technically maybe not so much wood, but I have these roses that I had gotten, and I think they came from the Temu haul I did, the one and only Temu haul I did, and I've never done anything with them, and they kind of lend themselves to fall coloring. So I thought it would be nice to put together a fall arrangement in this half basket. Now some of them come with the leaves, so you can slide the leaves on. And then I had some eucalyptus as well, and then I also got this bunch of pip berries at the dump too, and I thought I'll keep them on the stem and then just arrange them here and there to come in and out through the roses. Now these roses came in a couple different tones of that pumpkin color. So I'm using a couple different colors here, maybe pumpkin and cinnamon colors with those pip berries and just kind of moving them around. I added two little pumpkins that I got at the dollar store. I was looking for something in that cream tone, and then some of the green moss just to hide the base of that. And then once I had that all together, it still needed something. And so I wanted to see what I could find that might pop against those colors, and the dollar store had these leaves with the perfect coloring. So I just snipped a couple leaves off of them, placed a couple here and there, and added that just a little bit of cream, a little bit of that cinnamon color on those leaves to go with the pip berries and the pumpkins and the roses to make that look just a little bit more fall. I didn't have the right color ribbon to do anything for a bow or anything like that, so I opted to leave this pretty plain, but I could have done something with a hang tag, but for now I am leaving that as is. So let me know what you would add to that. Now today is part of the What Would You Make challenge. I will put these lovely ladies' information in the description box so that you can check out their channels, as well as the entire playlist of everyone else who's joining in. On to project number 2, which is this little wooden caddy that I had gotten at the flea market for $2 when I was in Vermont a couple of months ago. Very solid, heavy wooden piece. It's kind of like a 2-drawer shelf of sorts, but it could also hang. And it has a very deep blue, almost black color on it. And I wanted to use a transfer that I have. So I decided to give it a good couple of coats of a peach color that I just mixed up a pumpkin color with a linen color just to get kind of a rather ugly peach color, but bear with me here. This is not the final color. I did go ahead and just cover that entire thing except for the back. I will go back later and finish the back on this piece, but not here today. I am running out of time. I did plug a hole that for some reason there was only one lopsided hole in that, and then I wanted to remove the hardware, but look at the way that they have these on there. There is no way those are coming off, so I decided that I was going to have to just keep the hardware that are on these drawers and work around it. Now, for whatever reason, they kept the drawers natural, so all I want to do here is just put some of that peach around the outside edges of the drawers so that I will have something to distress back to that would match the rest of this piece. Now, once I have this completely done and dried and that hole is plugged and sanded, I went ahead and took my white chalk paint, and this is the color that I am hoping will be my top coat color with some of this peach distressed back too, and you'll see why as I go further into this. Now, this needs 2 coats of the white chalk paint. One, because that peach color is a little bit dark to cover over, but also because it's always a good idea to give your piece 2 coats. That first coat rarely ever looks finished. And so, I mean, unless it's a real dark color, you generally need at least 2 coats. Now, once that is completely finished with the 2 coats and primarily dry, I am taking a wet rag and I am kind of heavily distressing the edges and a couple of the edges of the drawers, a couple of parts on the front part of this, as well as on the sides, so that you can see a fair amount of that peach coming through. And then once I have that distressed the way that I want that, then I want to go ahead and pull out this beautiful Prima by Redesign transfer called Rose Celebration, and I want to cut this up into pieces and use that on this little caddy. Now, I had made a beautiful trunk over that you will see at the end of this, and I was hoping to kind of have these pieces go together with another piece that I had found at the dump recently, because I thought that they would be really beautiful in maybe a teenage girl's room or somebody who decorates in a more shabby chic decor. I could sell the 3 pieces together, potentially even 4 pieces. I do have a sign that somewhat goes with this, and so that's kind of the hope. I have them listed on Marketplace, and we'll see what happens, whether somebody wants to buy them together or not, but I did want to make them go with one another. So I did cut out the bulk of that rose piece for the front, and then I am just taking some bits and pieces and adding them to the drawer fronts, and then a couple of pieces to the sides. You probably have already seen this a number of times, but if not, then you cut out the pieces that you want. One of the nicest things about a transfer is you don't have to use it exactly like everyone else. You can cut it into bits and pieces. You can overlap it. You can add a couple different transfer styles together, anything that you like to create what you like. You can finish that off with a wax or a poly finish, and I will do that when it finally stops raining. So here is how that came out, and I really, really love it. I knew when I picked it up for $2 that it was going to be something beautiful, and I think that this transfer was just the thing for it. I know this is a little bit more of the spring summer or, shabby style, but I really think that it came out lovely. I think these colors go so nicely together, and it just looks so beautiful with this trunk and this piece of architectural, whatever that design is. And my friend Claire gave me these gorgeous roses for my birthday last week, and they just look spectacular with this. Couldn't wait to display the whole thing. So you will have to let me know what you think of this combination. And that takes me on to these end tables. I am only going to work on one today. I have had these in my garage now for probably close to 8 months, and I need to get them out of there. They're pretty vintage in style, I guess you would say, where they're probably from the 60s, 70s. And I am not a fan of having to sand all of these spindles, so I decided that I wanted to take the top of this down to the natural wood. So I took my sander 80 grit, then went down to 220, 120 and 220, just to get this a fine smooth top. Now I did that on both of them, but then I am probably going to make them 2 different ways. One of them I am going to give to my friend Mary, and so I am going to save the other one for some other time. Now I have this charcoal chalk paint, and it is very, very dark, so I wanted to lighten that up by adding some white chalked paint. These are both Rust-Oleum, and they are really, really beautiful, especially this charcoal one. I don't know if it's because it's been around for a little while, but it's gotten a little bit thick. So I mixed them together till I got a beautiful gray color, and that went on so smooth and so absolutely beautiful. I was really happy with the consistency of this paint. It is well worth the money, and it is much less expensive than some of those other premium brand paints, and I personally think that it does just as good. And so I went ahead with this simple smaller brush so that I could get these spindles done, and just painted on the entire underneath first. And then once I'm having the underneath completely painted, I want to go ahead and turn this over and paint the middle or second shelf here and the spindles on the top in this same gray color. But I want to do something different with the top, the very top of this piece. And this, I am so glad that I chose paint for this so that I would not have to be sanding down these spindles. So this is adhering very, very nicely and is coming out really good. Now I haven't shown her yet, and so I'm not sure if I'm going to do a white wax on this or how I'm going to finish it, but my gut is to put a white wax on this, giving it just a little bit lighter color, depending on what color she's looking for in the gray tones, but also could just spray that with a poly or could use a clear wax coat. Then for the top, what I'm doing is literally cleaning my brush into some warm water and adding just a little bit more of that paint and mixing that up until I have a probably 80% water, 20% paint mixture. So this is very, very watery, and I just want to add this and then use a rag and wipe this back so that this is more of a stain or a paint wash. And I rarely do a paint wash, but I do when you want this color, and you know, most of my stains are in the brown tones. Sometimes it's a good idea to just use a color paint that you already have, and you get that orangey tone of the wood to go away, and the yellow, you know, and the golden yellows that tend to be on the wood that you've sanded down, and then it picks up just a hint of the paint color that you're working with. So I think it's a great combination here to have a lighter top and then to have a darker bottom. And then I will either finish this entire piece with a wax or a poly. But here it is for now, so I would love to know what you think of this combination and what your favorite piece was today. Don't forget to check out the playlist and these hosts' channels. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. I will see you soon.